All right, what's going on, guys? Today we have a gear video. So a little bit different than what I normally do. Usually it's a lot more lifestyle, kind of out in the world vibes, but I know a ton of you guys always ask questions about what kind of gear I use, what I shoot with, what am I creating with. So this is for you guys. So for the people that don't know me, I'm Jordan Jimenez, otherwise known as J Squared. I'm a sports photographer, lifestyle creator, overall a decent guy. Today, let's talk about gear. Let's talk about the things that I use to create when I'm shooting NBA games, when I'm traveling, when I'm creating vlogs, when I'm making videos, all that fun stuff. We're literally gonna break down every piece of gear that I have, except one because I left it at home, but literally everything that I use. So from photo to video, lenses, laptops, fun little cameras, literally everything. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And I think we'll talk about cameras first. What we'll do is we'll go from kind of like the least professional to what I use as a professional photographer. So let's start with the Canon G7X Mark II. This is like a very small camera, obviously. So this is one that I honestly rarely ever use, but kind of just take it when I need something a little bit smaller, something I want to be able to just like fit in my hoodie pocket, something that's like not very big in terms of form factor. So this is great. This is a very nice, small, pocketable camera that, you know, I'll just kind of carry on days that I don't want to carry like a very big setup. So yeah, I mean, these little cameras have been, you know, they're really good now. So very pocketable, very good quality. Kind of just use this when I'm like hanging out with friends. Sometimes I'll actually bring it into like an NBA workout just for a different look. Yeah, this is the Canon G7X Mark II. This one's a little bit older, I think. So yeah, still does wonders. All right, next up on the list of cameras is the Fuji X100VI. For the people that are kind of tapped into the photography space, this is one that's very popular. I actually ordered this last February and I didn't get it until November. So it took like 8 months to really get into my hands, but you know, now that I've been using it for a couple months now, like I really do understand why it's so popular. It's not as small as, you know, this G7X. It's definitely a little bit bigger, but it's still something that I consider to be pocketable. Most people don't consider it to be pocketable, but I'm somebody that wears a hoodie literally every day. And this is something that still fits in my hoodie pocket, which was kind of the main reason that I purchased it. I just wanted something that I knew was powerful, still able to be convenient as, you know, a smaller camera compared to what I'm used to using. And, you know, this has been an amazing camera. I use it for trips that I'm traveling on and don't want to. Again, a lot of these smaller cameras are just like the ones that I want to carry without. Oh my gosh, I think it's cracked. What the heck? Dude, there's a crack in my camera. Wow, there's definitely a crack. That sucks. That's a sad realization. But to be honest, like, this is a camera that I throw in all of my bags. I'm not very careful with it, which is probably why there's a crack. There's like a little dent on it. This is my first Fuji. The reason that a lot of people like these Fujis is because of the film simulations. The colors are beautiful, and overall just a very aesthetic looking camera. Like, this looks great, like the black and the gray or silver, whatever you want to call it, just like a very nice colorway. So this is one that I like. You know, you can kind of use it as an accessory, you know, even as you're shooting, you know, it looks really good with outfits. So yeah, this is one that I use on like little photo walks, solo adventures, just something that I know is powerful without being a super big setup. Which brings us into our next camera, which is a little bit bigger, but kind of serves the same purpose. This is the Leica Q2, which I actually ended up getting first before this one. Yeah, I bought this a few years ago. I want to say after the 2022 NBA championship, just kind of a little gift to myself for all of the hard work of documenting that journey and everything like that. But this is the Leica Q2. It has a fixed 28 on here. It's my first Leica, it's my only Leica. Kind of the same purpose as the Fuji. I definitely don't throw it around as much as that one, but I still do have like a ton of scratches on it. Like, I'm very, not rough with my gear, but I use all of them, and I think that they should be used even, a camera as expensive as a Leica. Yeah, I use this for like photo walks with my friends, wanting to take photos of a new city, but also, you know, something that I could just walk around with. So, you know, usually when we go to our Europe trips over the summer, you know, with like JP, Ray and all that, this is the camera that I'll typically walk around with because it's so light. You can kind of get it into any venue. Same thing with this camera, you can bring into any venue essentially, just because like it doesn't zoom in or out. Kind of checks all the boxes in terms of size for what venues might restrict you from bringing. One of my favorite cameras. I mean, Leicas are very expensive, but after you use one and, you know, just the quality of the glass, the quality of the image, it's very beautiful. And, you know, this is just something that I appreciate as a photographer. It's like, it's built really well. It fits really nice in my hands. It's really light. Something as simple as like this little groove for your thumb, like as you're holding it, it just feels very nice in hand. It's just honestly just a work of art. I love it. I use it all the time, mainly for photo walks, portraits, or I shoot a lot. So a lot of these things are kind of interchangeable in use, but this is the Leica Q2. Moving towards a little bit more of my professional cameras, we have the Sony a7R III, which by now is a little bit older. They're on the Sony a7R V, but this camera has done an absolutely amazing job, and it still does to this day. I've had this since like 2018, I believe, and I bought this as my first Sony camera. I was on Nikon a little bit before this. Yeah, I was already shooting basketball games and stuff like that. Not super deep into photography just yet. I was maybe a year and a half in, and so it eventually got to a point where I just decided I wanted to switch systems. You know, I had tried Canon, I had tried Nikon, and I just wanted to try a Sony. And so the moment that I decided to do that was for McDonald's All-American in 2018. For the people that aren't familiar with what McDonald's All-American is, it's essentially an all-star game for the most elite high school basketball players that year. And so 2018 was the first year that I shot it. So that's Zion Williamson, that's RJ Barrett, that's Darius Garland, Quentin Grimes, I believe. I don't think Tyrese Maxey was that year. He might have been the next year, but you guys get the point. Cam Reddish. Yeah, I decided to purchase this. So this I was using for sports. It's a very fast camera. All of these Sonys are so fast with their autofocus. This one is particularly really good at photos. So Sony just has a bunch of different cameras at this point. They have some for photo, they have some for video, they have some for hybrid. Me at the time, I was mainly shooting photo, and I knew that this was a really good photo camera, so threw it on the credit card and everything, purchased this and a 7200 at the same time, and you know, I've been rocking with it ever since. So it's been a long time since I've upgraded my gear. So yeah, purchased this in 2018. I use this for a lot of like product photography. I use it for portraits. I'll use it for shooting events and everything like that. Just because it has such a high megapixel count, like the quality is really good. You can crop in really well. So for me, as somebody that shoots NBA games, sometimes I'll be shooting from really far. This kind of gives me the power to just like crop in a little bbit without losing too much quality. So this, I don't maybe use as much as I used to, but definitely still stays in the rotation. So this is a Sony a7R III. And sticking in theme with the Sonys, this is the main workhorse that I use. I've had this one since, gosh, maybe 2019, maybe something like that. Yeah, I might have honestly purchased this for McDonald's All-American the next year, which was 2019. I got hired to shoot that event, whereas like in 2018, I just kind of went. Yeah, this is a Sony A9. This is literally what I use for everything sports related. I use it for events. It's a very fast camera. This is the original A9. They're currently on the A9 III. Kind of a recurring theme here is my gear is not upgraded. So if you guys have watched any of my prior gear videos and stuff like that, like it's essentially the same kit with a couple additions. Yeah, this has gotten me through everything. Warriors Parade, Warriors Finals, Liberty Finals, concerts, literally everything. Like it's shot weddings and everything like that. I've traveled with it, but it's just a very fast camera. Also, the file sizes aren't as big as the a7R III, so does wonders for me and like not buying so many hard drives. I mean, this is a very fast camera. Autofocus is super fast. The The frame rate is super fast. So just being able to shoot like 20 frames per second, like it's kind of overkill. And honestly, I never really use it to its full capabilities of like shooting on the fastest burst or anything like that. I don't know, just like, I don't really feel like shooting that much and just like spraying the entire time. Yeah, this has been my main workhorse for the longest time at this point. And you know, eventually I would like to upgrade, but these camera bodies have lasted so long and they do such a good job that I don't necessarily have a real reason to upgrade. I'd rather invest my money into lenses, which is the next topic, which is a beautiful segue because we're gonna talk about lenses now. But yeah, Sony A9. I'm such a liar. Terrible segue because I forgot to mention the camera that you guys are watching me on. It's the Sony FX3. That's what I use for all of my vlogs, all of my highlights of NBA games and videos for my brands of, you know, J Squared and Murad and everything like that, or, you know, any professional work that people need done. It's the two other Sony cameras and the FX3. So can't really hold it and show you guys what it is because you guys are obviously watching me on it, but such an amazing camera, really good in low light. I mean, it's a Netflix approved cinema camera, which is awesome because it's like such a small body, but I'm not a Netflix movie maker, so it doesn't really matter. But just the fact that you can make movies on this camera is absolutely amazing. But yeah, Sony FX3. Now let's talk about lenses. So I think what we can do is we can kind of go from widest all the way to tightest. And so the first lens that we'll talk about is my most recent lens pickup, actually. This is the, and I apologize if this isn't how you pronounce it, but it's the Laowa 10mm. It's a prime lens, very wide lens, doesn't zoom in or out. So for the people that aren't necessarily familiar with like primes and zooms, primes kind of stay the same focal length, and zooms, you can obviously zoom in and out. This is my most recent pickup, the 10mm. So I actually only really bought this for making videos. So creating vlogs and everything like that, I think this is just such a wide lens that for somebody that's an introvert and doesn't really like to be so obvious with my filming, I think that this has been a godsend. Just being able to, you know, hold the camera down here and like still be able to get everything in frame, or just like creating different unique angles. So like if you wanted to do a top down, you could kind of get everything. If you just wanted a unique perspective of like, let's say I reached my hand out to the lens and everything like that, you'd be just still be able to see everything. So a very, very wide lens. I've used it for photography a couple of times. Like I've used it in the Clippers arena and it looked really cool with like the dome over the court and everything like that. But yeah, still kind of learning this lens. Maybe not the best quality in relation to like a G Master or anything like that, but for the price point, it does an amazing job. And it honestly just like looks really cool. Like it's a blue lens. Like I don't have a blue lens, but very fire. This honestly has stayed in my bag ever since I bought it like 2 months ago. Just perfect for vlogging, perfect for showing unique angles and just showing the world around you because it's so wide. So yeah, this is the Laowa 10mm 2.8, which brings us to our next lens, which is a zoom lens. All right, this is the Sony G Master 12-24. This one I actually got for the purpose of vlogging, and I got this maybe 2 years ago at this point. It's a 12-24, but obviously it's much bigger than the 10mm, so it's a little bit heavier. Not even a little bit, it's a lot heavier. Takes up a lot more space, but such beautiful glass. Like if you look at it, you can see that it has like the fisheye kind of vibe. So you have 12mm, which is super wide, and then 24, so it's a 12-24. So you get to 24 and it's like a pretty solid focal length. Obviously still very wide, but you know, you have the flexibility of changing your shots, being a little bit more versatile, and the image quality on this is amazing. Yeah, I've taken this to travel. You know, I've used it in Paris and everything like that. I've used it at NBA games. Just something that if you wanted that unique, very, very wide shot at 12, you could do that. And if you just wanted like a regular wide shot at 24, you could do that as well. And it's a f2.8, so consistent all the way through the entire focal range. So very versatile lens, solid in low light. And honestly, it's a very good lens. So for vlogging, for photography, does a really good job. Next on the list, next on the list is the 24 1.4. This is a G Master lens, very small lens. So kind of kind of in comparison to the 10mm, it's like roughly around the same size. The 10's a little bit smaller. This is honestly one of my favorite lenses. I've had this for years at this point. Oh my gosh, like it's so light. It's a 1.4, so really good in low light, really good depth of field and separation if you get close enough, but just a really nice lens all the way through. I use this like, you know, when I'm going to specific places, like if we're going to a concert or something like that and, you know, I want to take photos in the dark, definitely do that. She's dirty. But I wouldn't say it stays in my kit all the time, but it's definitely one that makes every long trip. So this is just one that I know is reliable in low light, you know, especially as somebody that doesn't necessarily use flashes or lights or strobes or anything like that. This is an amazing lens. I think this was the first G Master I bought other than like the 24-70 and the 70-200, but yeah, this has honestly gotten the most use out of my entire kit. Something compact, something that's really strong. Obviously the only downside is it's a prime lens, so you do have to like walk forward, walk backwards to kind of get a certain shot that you want, but I think it's a beautiful lens. I take it to the arenas and everything, and it looks amazing with the separation between the subject and the background. So you'll definitely get that a separation with the 1.4. But yeah, this is the 24mm 1.4. And the next lens that we'll talk about is one that you guys are watching me on now. It's the Sony G Master, the first one, 24-70. So honestly, one of the most essential lenses that you can have in your kit as a photographer or videographer. The 24-70 just kind of gives you everything that you need. So 24 on the wide end, 70 on the tight end, and honestly, you have a ton of range to play with. So, I mean, you can use it for events, you can use it for like shooting workout, you can use it for travel photos and everything like that. So just a lens that gives you literally everything that you need. You can get your establishing shots, you can get your detail shots, and it's a 2.8, so pretty solid lens, pretty fast. This is typically one that I recommend as like the first big purchase of a lens, like if you can. Like this is one that you could probably get and essentially never really need to buy another lens, obviously depending on like what kind of work you're doing. But even just like casual shooting, like photo walks, it's amazing. You can kind of get everything that you need. So same thing with games, concerts and everything like that. The 24-70 is absolutely amazing. So same thing with vlogging and videos, like the 24-70 has every focal length that you need. So yeah, that's the 24-70 G Master. All right, and next up on the list is one honestly that I haven't really used that much in a while. This is the Sony 85 1.8. It's actually probably the cheapest lens in my kit right now, which is awesome because it's a very good lens. It's an 85 1.8, another prime lens. But this one I've taken to many places. Like this lens is so small that you can kind of get it into certain venues that, you know, have certain rules about like what kind of lens you can bring in and not. But this one you can kind of get in everywhere. Like it's very light, almost dropped it. Very light lens, very good in low light. Not the best in terms of like focusing sometimes, like it's a little bit slow, but for the price point, I believe it's like $596. Like it's a very good lens. Like this I've taken to like college games and stuff like that. High school games for sure. Like just situations that I know that it's gonna be a little bit dark, like in a gym or anything like that. But a very good portrait lens like 85 is a pretty good focal length for shooting portraits. So I've shot like graduation shoots with this. I've brought this to weddings, I'm pretty sure. But just the focal length is really nice. Something that's pretty tight. Which is awesome because like it's such a small lens, and like I said, this is the cheapest lens in my kit, so you know, something that is relatively affordable in terms of like, I guess in relation to other lenses. But yeah, very good lens. Yeah, one that I definitely don't use as much as I should, but it's good to have, like especially like if I just want something that's a little bit small and I don't want to carry an entire, you know, let's say like a 24-70 or a 70-200. Sometimes you could just walk around with an 85. So maybe, honestly, this is probably the next lens that I should just walk around with for a couple of days. But yeah, it's worth having. This is the 85 1.8. The next lens we have is probably my second favorite lens in my kit after the 24 1.4. This is the Sony G Master 135 f1.8. So another prime lens. I'm a very big prime lens guy. I mean, I just like that you have to actually get closer or farther from your subject to get the shot that you want, and it just kind of makes you a little bit more intentional about your compositions and your framing. But the 135, oh my gosh, beautiful lens, excellent in like high school gyms, just because you have that 1.8 for like when it's a dark gym, but also amazing in NBA arenas. Like sometimes I'll just use this like from the media section that I'm shooting from. Very nice when you're trying to get like a good separation between your subject and the background. You know, beautiful bokeh on this, beautiful blur in the background, whatever you want to call it. But the 1.8 on here is absolutely amazing. Beautiful portraits, beautiful detail shots, and honestly, like even in-game shots, like it's such a tight focal length that you're kind of just forced to focus on the details a little bit more. Again, not one that comes on every single trip with me, but every time I do bring it, it's like probably some of my favorite photos. So yeah, this is the 135 1.8. Not a necessity in a kit, I don't think, but this was more so like a fun one for me to just have and, you know, be able to focus on certain details that I like. So again, not necessary to have this one in the kit, but here it is. It's a 135 1.8. All right. We're almost done talking about lenses, guys. We have two more. This is the Sony G Master 70-200. And for sports photographers, mainly basketball photographers, because, you know, that's kind of what I do and can relate to. But this is probably the most essential lens that you need for shooting basketball games. Like, this comes to literally every NBA game, events that I shoot and everything like that, but specifically for NBA games and, you know, just basketball games in general, like this is the lens that you need. If you can only buy one lens as a sports photographer or as a basketball photographer, this is the one that I recommend. It's a 70-200 G Master 2.8, and you don't necessarily need the 2.8. I think it's definitely very, very, very helpful. But I mean, if you can only get the f4 one, get the f4 one. But I think it's worth saving up and waiting a little bit longer to get this lens, because this is perfect for everything. Like, these lenses are starting to break on me because of how much I use it. Like the little threading, whatever it's called, is starting to come off. Same with the 24-70 that you guys are on. So 70-200, it's like a medium tight shot to like a pretty tight shot. You can get all of the details that you need in a basketball game. You can get a wide enough shot to show a little bit more of the action and like what's going on. This is essentially in every basketball photographer's kit. So for those who are just kind of starting out, if you guys are able to just like save up for one, this is the main one that I recommend. They have a newer one. This is the original G Master, but I know they have a version 2, which the version 2 is much lighter, and you know, I'm sure it's a little bit faster and all that, but like this has done an amazing job for me. Yeah, this is the 70-200 2.8. Don't really need to say too much about it because it's just that good, to be honest. Like everything, a lot of the work that I've done in the basketball space has been this. So iconic photos, championship runs, even just something as simple as like high school and college games, like everything's on here. This is the one. This is the chosen one. 70-200 G Master. And then we have our last lens of the kit. We have the G Master 100-400. This is a 4.5 to 5.6. So this is like one of the few lenses in my kit that has like a variable aperture. When you zoom in or out, like it will change aperture unless you just set it to like the max, or I don't know what to call it, like the minimum aperture that the lens allows you to have. Whatever is the correct way to explain that. This is one that I actually bought out of necessity. I was shooting the 2022 NBA Finals, and I was honestly the only photographer that was like shooting from the top of the arena, like in both arenas. Like that's just kind of where they placed me. So I needed this lens. Yeah, 100-400, and I just needed something with a little bit more focal length. The only thing about this is you do give up a fast aperture. Like this is only a 4.5 to 5.6. So pros and cons to that, like you'll get a little bit more in focus because of, you know, using a 5.6 aperture, but it's definitely not as great in low light, and especially shooting from the top of the arena, I was definitely needing a faster aperture. I mean, it did an amazing job, and I actually still do bring this to games just because it helps me zoom in a little bit closer just to get certain detail shots and, you know, just kind of isolate the matchups that I want to photograph. So yeah, just having such tight shots, a 100 to 400 is pretty tight, but it helps you focus on the details and everything like that. And like if you can get up higher in an arena or anything like that, or either higher or lower, like if you're pretty low, you can get very close shots of like details of maybe like eyes or jerseys or anything like that. But if you're shooting from up top, you can really isolate certain matchups. So like point guard matchups in the post or anything like that. But yeah, this is the 100 to 400. It doesn't come with me on every trip. It's a pretty big lens, pretty heavy lens. But you know, it gets the job done. So not a necessary one. Like it is kind of tiring to use, but I have it in my kit, so I had to talk about it. All right. Whew. That was a lot of talking, but that's all for like the camera gear. And so this next portion should go pretty quickly. So let's just talk about things that I use for like editing and stuff like that. So I need to actually go grab it. That's the one thing I didn't grab out of my bag. Oh, I just got the scared realization that I wasn't filming. All right, so let's talk about other pieces of tech that I use. In terms of editing, I am currently using the M1 Max MacBook. This is the 16-inch. It's from 2021, I believe. Honestly, still does an amazing job. Literally gives me everything that I need. It's fast enough. Yeah, I mean, I've never really had any issues. The only thing that I wish I did was upgrade the storage. I think this has 2 terabytes of storage. I would have probably liked to do 4, just so I'm not like always transferring files to everything like that to other hard drives and all that, because you know, the hard drives do kind of add up. Yeah, this is the laptop that I edit on. So I edit in Lightroom, I edit in Premiere, DaVinci, I don't know, literally whatever you need. But so M1 Max, and then this is the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. I forget what year it is. I'm over here accidentally screenshotting things. But yeah, 12.9 inch. Let me see what year this is. This is a little bit older. I bought this during the pandemic, and honestly not an item that I utilize as much as I should. Okay, it doesn't tell me the year, but this is the 4th generation. But this I actually used to just bring to games sometimes. Like I bring the laptop to every game, but sometimes, especially during like 2021, 2022, when the energy of those games was like very, very good, I was bringing this and just like a USB-C to SD card reader and just like editing here on Lightroom. So just something to get the photos out quickly, give you guys a very good experience in terms of like putting out photos very quickly and having you guys react in real time. Like I was always editing on these 2 things. So definitely don't use the iPad as much as I should. Like at this point, it only comes with me on the plane for like looking at my calendar, setting up my schedule and everything like that, and also just like watching YouTube videos, watching shows and everything while I travel. But these are the kind of the 2 main machines that I use for post-production. And then in terms of like some other things that I use to create, I have the Insta360 X3. Insta360 actually sent me this one, so that's awesome. This was like the first camera that I had any company send me, so shout out to Insta360 for sending me this. But this is one that I use for, you know, like travel vlogs, anything that has such a unique look and feel to it. So I've taken this in the water, like looking at fish and stuff like that on a Disney cruise excursion. I've used this for the Liberty Parade just to get like a shot of the crowd and everything like that from a pretty high angle with like the invisible stick. You know, sometimes even just something as simple as mounting this on top of your camera just to get some behind the scenes. So something that's very versatile, very compact, but very powerful. Another compact camera that I use is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. A very popular camera, and with good reason. It's very good for documenting all of the moments in your life that you might just want better quality videos on, and you don't maybe want to fill up your phone storage or anything like that. So DJI Osmo Pocket 3, awesome for vlogs, awesome for documenting your life. Very powerful camera for another small form factor. This is one that needs very little explanation because literally everybody knows about this one because of how crazy it's gone on TikTok and all of that. But I actually had the original one in maybe 17, and it was cool. It's a very cool concept, but like the fact that it's like where it is now is awesome, because that first one wasn't the most amazing thing, but here we are. Shout out to science. So Pocket 3. And then in terms of like phones and stuff like that, I do shoot with my phone still. As a photographer, I'm somebody that's always shooting. So two phones that I use. So this is like my main driver. This is the iPhone 14. Not up to date on the iPhone, but this is, you know, these two phones are my daily drivers. Camera solid, but the Pixel 9 Pro has a really good camera. I think better than the iPhone 14. So this comes with me, like this stays in my kit. I also enjoy the fact that their AI software is really good. Like their Gemini software is awesome and just like does a really good job of answering my questions and helping me come up with ideas and everything like that. So yeah, these are the two phones that I use daily essentially at this point. Yeah, those are the things I shoot on. And then the one that I forgot at home was just like this Sony Handycam. Very nice for stylized, nostalgic looks. And, you know, just something that you get in camera without having to do so much post-production. Just something that has a feeling already, just that vintage feel that everybody loves and the feeling of nostalgia. So yeah, I have that, and I have a little fisheye attachment to it, but shout out to Dangycam for setting me up with that. It's a Sony Handycam PC100, I believe, but yeah, left it at home. And I think that's it. I think that is all of the gear that I use. So hopefully that's a pretty solid breakdown of the gear that I use and what I use them for. Yeah, not a typical video that I would make, just because a lot of it has just been focused on actually using the gear. But I know you guys have a ton of questions all the time of like what camera I use, what lenses I'm using for certain things. So I genuinely hope this helps. If it does, let me know. If it doesn't, let me know. Just trying to get better at this whole YouTube thing. Just trying to help you guys out as much as possible when I can, documenting my life, creating art. But yeah, let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. And you know, if you guys want me to break down anything else, like morning routines, any productivity stuff or anything like that. Man, that was a lot of talking, but thank you guys as always for being here. Let me know what questions you guys might have. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. And if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that sub button. Really is very helpful, and you know, just a free way of supporting me and my videos. So yeah, sub if you can, leave a comment if you'd like to, if there's any questions or, you know, anything that you guys want to talk about. I do my absolute best to respond to all the comments on here. But yeah, thank you guys as always. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Until next time, it's J Squared, Mr. You Know Who Shot It, signing out. Peace.